the aisle where my world broke. The chandeliers above the ballroom glowed like trapped stars, throwing soft light over 1,000 white roses and a runway of petals leading to the altar. Everyone kept saying my wedding looked like a movie, but movies don't show what it feels like when your stomach turns cold in the middle of your own fairy tale. I stood behind the curtain, my fingers clenched around my bouquet so tight the stems pressed into my palm. My mother's voice shook as she adjusted my veil. "You're trembling, Ariba," she whispered. "Is it nerves or something else?" Nerves. I lied, because if I said the truth out loud, it would become real. Across the room, I could hear guests laughing, big names, important faces, people who wore expensive smiles like jewelry. My fiancé, Saad Khan, was known as a self-made success, a rising star in Karachi's business world. Everyone kept telling me how lucky I was. But luck doesn't feel like fear. My best friend, Hina, peeked through the curtain and smiled. "He's waiting. He looks perfect." I nodded, trying to breathe. In my chest, a small warning had been ringing for weeks. Missed calls, rushed conversations, meetings that couldn't wait. And one strange detail I couldn't explain. Saad kept asking about a name he pretended not to care about. "Zara Malik, you don't know her, right?" He'd asked casually one night. I knew the name. Everyone did. Zara Malik. Saad's ex. The woman he dated before he made it. The woman who disappeared from his life right before his success exploded. Rumors said she left him broke. Others said he left her when she got sick. The truth was hidden inside gossip, like poison inside sugar. The doors opened. I stepped onto the aisle. The room rose to its feet. Phones lifted. People smiled like they were watching a victory. My father walked beside me, stiff and proud, though I could feel his worry through his arm. "Whatever happens," he murmured, "keep your chin up. You are my daughter." At the altar, Saad turned, and for a moment, my heart eased. He looked handsome, composed, the perfect groom. Then the doors at the back of the ballroom opened again. The air shifted. A hush spread like fire across dry grass. Heads turned. Whispers poured through the crowd. A woman entered in a simple black dress. No glitter, no drama, just quiet power. Her hair was tied back neatly. Her face calm. Her eyes sharp like she'd already survived worse than judgment. Behind her walked two men in tailored suits, and between them a man everyone recognized from billboards and business magazines. Billionaire Asher Qureshi. The richest man in the city, maybe the country. A man whose name made CEOs sit straighter. My breath caught. People began murmuring loudly now. "What is he doing here? Is that Zara Malik? No way. That's Saad's ex." Saad's face drained of color. His lips parted, but no words came. He stared at Zara like he'd seen a ghost. My father's grip tightened. "Ariba, do you know what this is?" I didn't, but my body knew danger when it walked into a room. Zara stopped a few feet from the front row. Asher Qureshi didn't sit. He stood, calm and unbothered, as if this wedding was simply another boardroom he owned. Saad leaned forward, voice trembling but trying to sound firm. What is this?" Zara's gaze met his. Her voice was low, steady. "Don't worry, Saad. I'm not here to ruin your wedding." Then she glanced at me, just once, and something passed through her eyes. Not hatred, not jealousy, recognition. Saad swallowed hard. "Asher Qureshi, you can't be here." Asher smiled slightly, like someone who had already won. "I was invited," he said. Saad snapped, "By who?" Asher's eyes lifted toward me, and my blood turned to ice, because I realized something terrifying. Someone had planned this moment long, before I walked down the aisle. And then Saad did the unthinkable. He stepped back from the altar and whispered, loud enough for the room to hear, "I can't marry her." The entire hall gasped. My bouquet slipped in my fingers. My mother cried out from the front row. My father's face turned rigid with humiliation and fury. I stared at Saad, my voice barely working. "Saad, what are you saying?" His eyes flicked to Zara, then at Asher, then away from me like I was suddenly a stranger. "I'm sorry," he muttered, already pulling at his collar. "I can't." He turned and walked away from me, At my own wedding. At the altar. In front of everyone. But as I stood frozen in my white dress, I heard Zara speak again. Soft, almost gentle, but loud enough to slice through the shock. Ariba, if you want the truth, I can give it to you. I turned toward her, my heart pounding like a war drum. And Asher Qureshi took one slow step forward, his gaze locked on mine. Ariba, he said, you were never supposed to be the bride today. The room spun. My knees nearly buckled. Because in that moment, I realized my wedding wasn't a celebration. It was a trap, and the trap had just closed. The envelope that exposed everything. My fingers shook as I took the envelope. The wax seal bore a simple emblem, a rose with a thorn wrapped around it. I couldn't breathe. Hina stepped beside me, whispering, Ariba, don't. Not here. But here was already ruined. The guests weren't guests anymore. They were an audience. Faces leaned forward. Whispers became sharp, hungry. My mother rushed toward me. Give it to me, she pleaded. We can go home. We can. No. My father said, voice like stone. He stared at Saad's retreating back with the kind of anger that could burn buildings. She will not run. Not after he did this. I opened the envelope. Inside was a single folded paper, and beneath it, a photograph. The photo hit first. It showed Saad standing beside a younger Zara, both smiling, outside a small clinic. Zara's arm was bandaged. Saad's hand rested on her shoulder. The date stamped at the bottom, 5 years ago. My throat tightened. Then I unfolded the paper. It was a printed copy of a legal agreement. Bold words at the top. Confidential settlement. Breach of contract penalties apply. I skimmed, confused, until a line punched the air out of me. Saad Khan agrees to marry Ariba Siddiqui in exchange for access to the Siddiqui Family Trust holdings and associated bank guarantees. I read it again. And again, my world tilted. My voice cracked. This isn't real. Asher's calm voice cut through the noise. It's real. I snapped my head up. Who are you to say that? His gaze didn't flinch. Someone who had seen Saad Khan sign away his soul more than once. The guests erupted. Some gasping, some whispering, some pretending they weren't listening while listening the hardest. My father stepped forward, face pale. Ariba, what is this? I forced my eyes back down. Another line glowed like a warning. Upon completion of marriage, Saad Khan will receive controlling influence over Siddiqui, holdings through spousal transfer clauses. My hands dropped to my sides. He never loved me. He was buying me, using my family's name and resources like a ladder. I looked toward the aisle where Saad had disappeared, my voice rising, breaking. He proposed to me because of money? Zara's voice came softly. Not just money. She stepped closer. Her eyes held no cruelty, only a tired honesty. He wanted protection, she continued, because what he did to me and what he stole finally caught up. A cold fear crawled up my spine. What did he steal? Zara swallowed. For the first time, her calm mask cracked. My work, my idea, my company. The room went quieter. Zara spoke like each word cost her something. 5 years ago, Saad and I were building a small business. I created a logistics software that could change supply chains. I wrote the code. I built the model. When I got sick, he promised to take care of everything. She lifted her sleeve slightly, revealing a faint scar near her wrist, like a needle mark that had once been a daily battle. I was in treatment, she said. I trusted him. A murmur rippled through the crowd. Sympathy, shock, disbelief. Asher stepped forward. And he sold it, he said. He rebranded it. He presented it as his own. Investors poured money in. He became the genius entrepreneur. My stomach turned violently. Why didn't you stop him? Zara's eyes flicked to Asher. Because I tried, but Saad wasn't alone. Asher's jaw tightened just slightly. Some people help bury the truth. My father stiffened. Are you accusing someone in this room? Asher glanced at the front row, where certain men sat very still, very quiet. I saw it then, fear behind expensive watches. Zara's voice lowered. Saad needed a clean public image and legal cover. Marrying into the Siddiqui family would have made him untouchable. It would have given him the money and the connections to destroy anyone who tried to expose him. My chest tightened. I looked at my father, at my mother, at the life I thought I was building. All is set up. Hina grabbed my hand. Ariba, say something. They're watching. I stepped forward into the center of the aisle, my dress heavy like grief, and raised a paper high. My voice trembled, but it didn't break. Saad Khan used me. A few guests looked away, ashamed. Others stared harder, like this was better than any entertainment. And then from the side entrance, Saad reappeared, sweat on his forehead, rage in his eyes. He stormed toward Zara. You had no right. Zara didn't flinch. I had every right. Saad's eyes darted to Asher. You did this. You think you can buy people and rewrite history? Asher smiled, calm and dangerous. No, I think truth has a way of collecting interest. Saad turned to me, suddenly softer, as if love could be switched on like a light. Ariba, listen, this is manipulation. You don't understand. I looked at him, really looked, a man who could abandon me at the altar without blinking and return trying to control the story. My voice steadied. I understand perfectly. Saad's face hardened. If you humiliate me, your family will regret it. My father stepped forward. Threaten my daughter again, and you'll regret breathing. The room held its breath. Then Saad leaned closer to me and whispered viciously. You think you're strong? Without me, you're nothing. You'll be a joke by morning. I stared at him, heart pounding, and something inside me snapped, not into weakness, but into clarity. I lifted my chin. Then watch what I do next. Saad's eyebrows twitched. What are you going to do? I turned slowly to Zara and Asher. You came here for a reason. Tell me the whole truth. Zara nodded once, then glanced toward the doors. The whole truth is coming. What do you mean? I asked. Zara's eyes locked on mine. The person who can destroy Saad permanently is walking in right now. I turned toward the entrance and saw a man in a lawyer's suit step inside, holding a briefcase. Behind him, police officers. The wedding became a courtroom. The word warrant didn't just land in the room. It detonated. A scream burst from someone's table. Chairs scraped. Phones lifted higher, hungry for scandal. People who had come for romance now witnessed a public collapse. Saad's face turned a shade I'd never seen, gray, like fear draining him from the inside out. This is a stunt, he barked, stepping toward the lawyer. You can't do this here. The lawyer didn't blink. Mr. Saad Khan, this is a lawful order. Please remain where you are. The police officers moved forward, calm but firm. My mother clutched my arm. Ariba, what is happening? I couldn't answer. My heart hammered too loudly. Asher spoke quietly, only for me and Zara to hear. This is where the story changes. Saad's voice cracked into desperation. Asher, whatever you want, we can negotiate. Asher's gaze stayed calm. You already negotiated when you stole what wasn't yours. Zara stood beside me like a shield. She wasn't smiling. She looked finished with fear. The lawyer opened his briefcase and pulled out documents. Mr. Khan, you are being served for fraud, intellectual property theft, and financial misrepresentation. There is also an active investigation into coercion and contract manipulation involving Ms. Ariba Siddiqui. My stomach dropped. Coercion? Manipulation? Saad snapped his head toward me. Ariba, tell them you were fine. Tell them this is... I took a step back like his voice was poison. The lawyer continued. Furthermore, an emergency injunction has been filed to freeze certain assets and prevent Mr. Khan from transferring ownership or liquidating holdings. The room exploded again. People whispered names. Siddiqui Holdings, Saad's company, Asher Qureshi, Zara Malik. The wedding planner looked ready to faint. My father stepped forward. Who filed this injunction? The lawyer's eyes moved to Zara. Ms. Zara Malik, with backing from an interested party. All eyes slid to Asher. Asher lifted his hand slightly. I funded the legal team, he admitted, voice even. Because the truth deserves a fighting chance. Saad laughed, wild and bitter. Of course. The billionaire hero. You're doing this because you want Zara back. Zara's jaw tightened. This isn't about romance. This is about justice. Saad spun on Zara. You were nothing without me. Zara stepped closer, her voice low but sharp. I was sick. I was vulnerable. And you used that to take everything. A silence fell, heavy, painful. Then Saad looked at me, and his expression shifted into something calculating. Ariba, he said softly. If you stand with them, your family's reputation will burn. You'll never get married again. People will whisper forever. His words were meant to crush me, but they woke something. I looked around the room, at the guests who had watched me get abandoned like entertainment, at the women who had pitied me but said nothing, at the men who pretended to be respectable while they cheered for power. I realized something in that moment. If I begged for dignity from people like this, I would be begging for the rest of my life. I lifted my chin, let them whisper. Saad's smile vanished. What? I stepped forward, voice steady enough to shock even me. I will not protect you. I will not hide your shame to save mine. My mother gasped. My father's eyes softened with pride. Saad's face twisted. You think you're brave? You're standing next to a woman who came to destroy you too. Zara blinked. What? Saad's grin turned cruel. Ariba, did they tell you the part where Zara Malik used your family before? Ask her who she really is. My heart jolted. Zara's eyes widened. Just a flicker. Asher's jaw tightened. What is he talking about? I demanded. Saad leaned closer, voice dripping venom. Ask her why she knows your father's business. Ask her why she has access to your trust information. Ask her. The lawyer interrupted. Mr. Khan, you're not in a position to intimidate witnesses. But the seed had been planted. I turned to Zara. Do you know my family? Zara's lips parted, but words hesitated. Asher spoke before she could. Ariba, there's something you should hear, but not from him. My chest tightened. Then tell me. Zara looked at me, eyes shining with something like regret. Your father once saved my life. The room spun again. My father stiffened. Zara? Zara nodded slowly. Yes, I met him years ago, before Saad, before the illness. I worked briefly with Siddiqui Holdings as a junior analyst. My father's face drained. That's impossible. That was a long time ago. Zara's voice broke slightly. You don't remember because I wasn't important to you then, but you helped fund a medical program that paid for my treatment when my family couldn't. My throat tightened. My father's eyes softened, confused. You're saying I knew you? Zara nodded. And when Saad stole my work and tried to destroy me, I had nowhere left, until I remembered the only person who once helped without asking for anything back. She swallowed hard. I came to you, sir, quietly, and you didn't turn me away. I stared at my father. He looked at me, guilt, pain, and something else. A secret. Ariba, he whispered. I didn't tell you because I thought it would complicate your life. My pulse hammered. What secret? What complication? Saad laughed. Tell her, Uncle Siddiqui. Tell her the truth you buried. My father's hands clenched. My voice shook. Baba, what truth? My father opened his mouth. And before he could speak, a woman from the crowd stood up, furious. It was Saad's mother. You're all liars, she screamed. My son is being framed because he refused to marry her. She trapped him with her family money. My mother snapped back. Your son trapped him, why, daughter? Saad's mother pointed at me like I was dirt. Look at her, acting innocent. She'll destroy us all. That's when I did something I never thought I would do at my own wedding. I picked up the microphone from the ceremonial table. The entire room froze as I lifted it to my lips. My voice rang out clear, shaking but strong. Everyone here will hear the truth today. Saad's eyes widened. Ariba, don't. I turned to the lawyer. Is this being recorded? He nodded. Yes, Miss Siddiqui. I looked at Zara. And you have proof? Zara nodded slowly. Enough to bury him. I faced the crowd. Then let's bury lies. Saad stepped forward, panic his eyes now. Stop. You don't know what you're doing. I raised the microphone higher. Oh, I do. And then I said the sentence that made Saad stumble like he'd been punched. Saad Khan didn't just steal Zara's work. He stole from my family, too. The room exploded again. Saad shouted, "She's lying." My father whispered, broken, "Ariba." I looked at him, voice cracking. "Baba, tell me, what did he steal?" My father's eyes closed. And then he whispered 3 words that shattered everything I thought I knew. "He stole your mother's." The truth they hid in my mother's grave. The air in the ballroom felt too thin to breathe. My mother's face drained of color. Hina grabbed my arm so tightly it hurt. My father stared at the floor like it was the only thing holding him up. "What did you just say?" My voice came out raw. "My mother didn't die the way I was told." My mother whispered, "Ariba, please." But please wasn't an answer. Zara stepped beside me, her voice gentle but firm. "Ariba, I didn't want to tell you in public, but Saad forced the truth to the surface. And if we don't expose everything now, he'll slip away again." Saad's face twisted with fury. "You're insane. You're making stories." Asher's voice cut through him. "Then explain why you paid a private investigator to erase hospital records." The crowd went silent again. Saad's eyes darted, trapped. "I didn't." The lawyer raised a file. "We have bank transfers, Mr. Khan. Dates, names, accounts." My legs felt weak. I gripped the microphone like it was the only solid thing left in the universe. "Baba," I said, voice shaking, "tell me the truth. Now, in front of everyone." My father's throat worked as if swallowing knives. Your mother, Sanaa, discovered something." My mother's tears spilled. "Stop, please, she's not ready." "I am ready," I snapped, surprising even myself. "I've been abandoned at the altar. What else can break me?" My father nodded slowly, defeated. Sanaa worked quietly. She noticed strange movements in our accounts, hidden transfers. Someone inside the company was siphoning funds and using them to support Saad's expansion years before he was successful. My blood ran cold. So Saad was funded by us? I asked. My father's eyes filled with shame. "Without our knowledge at first. Your mother tried to expose it." Saad laughed, sharp and ugly. "Oh, this is rich." Zara's gaze snapped to him. "Shut up." Saad sneered. "Your mother didn't try anything. She was weak." The word weak hit like a slap. I turned on Saad, trembling with rage. "Don't you dare speak about my mother." Saad's eyes glittered. "Why? You don't even know what really happened to her." My heart slammed. "What happened?" Asher stepped forward, and for the first time, his calm slipped into something darker. She was threatened. The room rippled with horror. Asher continued. "Sanaa gathered documents, proof of financial theft and collusion. She planned to go to regulators." My mother sobbed quietly. "We begged her not to." I stared at my mother. "You knew?" My mother's voice cracked. "We want to protect you." "By lying to me?" I whispered. My father's voice was barely audible. "The night your mother was going to submit the evidence, she got into a car accident." The words sounded rehearsed, like something he'd said 1,000 times to survive it. But Zara's voice cut in, trembling with controlled fury. "It wasn't an accident." The crowd erupted. "What? No way. Is she serious?" Zara pulled out her phone, scrolling with shaking fingers. "I found this while rebuilding the timeline. A security camera clip from a street near the crash site, saved in an archive." The lawyer nodded. "It has been authenticated." Zara held the screen up so the front rows could see. Even from where I stood, I saw it. A dark SUV following a small car. A sudden swerve. A violent impact. My knees nearly buckled. My voice came out as a whisper. "Who did that?" Zara's eyes locked onto Saad. He wasn't the driver, but he paid for it. Saad lunged forward, shouting, "Lie!" The police moved, blocking him. I raised the microphone again, voice shaking, but louder now. Did you have my mother killed? Saad's breathing turned harsh. I didn't kill anyone. Your mother was going to ruin everything. He stopped. Too late. The entire room froze on the half-confession. Even Saad's mother looked horrified. Asher spoke softly, deadly calm. Thank you. That statement will be useful. Saad's face twisted into panic. No, I didn't mean... The lawyer turned to the officers. That's sufficient probable cause for immediate detainment on witness tampering and obstruction, in addition to the existing charges. The officers stepped forward. Saad's mother screamed. Stop. You can't take him. Saad struggled. Ariba, tell him to stop. If you do this, you'll destroy your own family. I stared at him, tears burning my eyes. In my mind, I saw my mother's face, the version I remembered. Warm hands, soft laughter, safety. And then I saw the truth. She was brave, and bravery had a price. My voice trembled. You didn't just abandon me at the altar. You tried to buy me, trap me, use me, and you stole the most important person in my life. Saad's face hardened into hatred. You think you're some hero? You're nothing without your family's name. My father stepped beside me, then let her build her own. I turned to my father, stunned. He continued, voice stronger now. Ariba, I hid this because I thought it would protect you, but it only protected him. Today, I choose you, and I choose truth. My chest tightened. Baba? He reached into his jacket and pulled out another envelope, older, worn. I was going to give this to you privately, he said, but now you deserve it in daylight. He handed it to me. I opened it with shaking hands. Inside was a document with my name at the top, a transfer of ownership, shares, assets, a new trust structure, and a handwritten note from my father. You will never need to be someone's bride, be someone's power. Tears spilled down my cheeks. Saad saw it and went still. His eyes widened in horror. No, you can't. My father looked him dead in the eye. I can, and I just did. I wiped my tears, lifted the microphone, and turned back to crowd. My wedding is canceled. I said clearly, but my life is not. Somewhere in the crowd, someone began clapping. Then another. Slowly, applause built. Hesitant at first, then stronger, until it filled the hall like thunder. Saad fought against the officers, shouting, You'll regret this, all of you. I stared at him, calm now. No, you will. The officers began dragging him toward the exit. But just before he was pulled out, Saad twisted his head toward Zara and yelled, You think this ends me? You don't know who's really behind it. If I go down, I'm taking someone else with me. The room went quiet again. Asher's eyes narrowed. What is he talking about? Zara's face tightened. He's bluffing. Saad laughed as he was pulled away. Ask Asher where he got his money. Zara, ask him what he did before he became a saint. Asher went still, and I felt it. Another trapdoor opening under our feet. I turned slowly to Asher. What did he mean? Asher didn't answer immediately. For the first time, the billionaire looked human, not powerful, not untouchable, just haunted. I didn't need a groom, only my truth. The ballroom had become a storm of whispers again, but they sounded far away now, like noise behind glass. All I could hear was my own heartbeat and Asher's confession hanging in the air. My hands aren't clean. I stepped closer to him, still holding the microphone, still wearing a white dress that now felt like armor instead of lace. What secret? I asked, my voice steady in a way that surprised me. Say it clearly. Asher's eyes flicked toward the crowd. Not here. I lifted my chin. Here is exactly where secrets die. Zara's gaze sharpened. Asher, he exhaled slowly. Years ago, I invested in a series of startups. One of them was Saad's early company. Before I knew the truth, I was shown a pitch, a product, a founder. The documents said Saad created it. Zara's voice turned icy. You funded him. Asher nodded. I did, and I regret it every day. The crowd murmured. My stomach twisted, But I forced myself to listen. Asher continued. When I discovered the real creator was Zara, I traced the timeline. That's when I learned about Sanaa Siddiqui, your mother. She wasn't just investigating missing money. She was trying to expose a chain of corruption that stretched into powerful offices and private circles. My throat tightened, and you were part of that circle. Asher didn't deny it. I was around it. I benefited from being quiet. The honesty stung more than any excuse would have. My father stepped forward, voice shaking with anger and pain. Did you know about the threat to my wife? Asher's jaw clenched. Not in time. By the time I understood what was happening, she was already dead. My mother sobbed again, silent and broken. I stared at Asher. So, why are you here now? Why did you walk into my wedding? Asher's voice softened. Because I watched Saad do it again. Another woman. Another family. Another lie, Zara added quietly. And because you deserve the chance to choose the truth before it swallowed you. I swallowed hard, blinking back tears. In a strange way, this was the cruelest mercy. The truth arriving on the day I thought I was starting my happiest chapter. I lowered the microphone and spoke, not to the crowd now, but to myself. I spent years believing love meant being chosen. My voice rose as I looked around at the guests, at the cameras, at the judgment in their eyes. But today, I learned something else. I turned to the aisle where Saad had abandoned me. Love isn't being chosen by someone who benefits from you. I said, love is choosing yourself when the world tells you to collapse. The room held its breath. I looked at my father. Baba, you hid the truth to protect me. But the greatest protection you can give me now is to stand with me. My father nodded, tears in his eyes. I will. I turned to my mother and took her hands. Ammi, I know you wanted to keep me safe, but safety built on lies is still a prison. She cried openly now. I'm sorry. I know, I whispered, and I forgive you. But from today, we live in daylight. Then I faced Zara. You came here as the woman they painted as a villain, I said. But you came with proof, not poison. Zara's eyes glistened. I came because I didn't want another woman to be destroyed the way I was. I nodded slowly. Thank you. Finally, I looked at Asher. You helped create the monster, I said, but you also helped stop him. Asher's voice was quiet. I don't expect forgiveness. I'm not here to forgive billionaires, I replied, and a few guests gasped at my bluntness. I'm here to reclaim my life. I lifted the microphone again, and I'm going to shock everyone who came here expecting to watch me fall. I turned to the wedding stage, the floral arch where I was supposed to say vows. Instead, I walked up to Alone. I reached behind the arch and pulled the power cable from the decorative spotlight panel. The music system cut. The room went silent. Then I looked at the guests, rich, important, opinionated. You came to celebrate a wedding, I said, but what you're about to witness is something rarer. I took a deep breath. A woman refusing to be a victim. I stepped down from the stage and walked straight toward the exit. Bouquet still in hand. My white dress swept the petals like it was clearing a path. Hina rushed after me. Ariba, where you going? I didn't look back. To build a life no one can buy. Outside, the evening air hit my face like freedom. Cameras flashed. Reporters shouted questions. People wanted a headline. I gave them one without giving them my pain. I turned to the nearest camera and said, clearly, today I lost a groom, but I found my spine, and I'm not ashamed of that. I handed my bouquet to a little girl standing with her mother nearby, someone who looked like she needed hope more than flowers. Then I walked away, not with a man, not with applause, with my truth. A week later, Saad's arrest became public. The lawsuit filings made headlines. The asset freeze sent shockwaves through his network. Investors fled. Allies disappeared. The self-made image collapsed under evidence. Zara's stolen work was recognized in court documents. My father publicly admitted the financial theft in our company and opened our books for investigation, something no powerful family wanted to do. And I, still healing, still bruised, stood before our board and said, we will rebuild with honesty, or We will not rebuild at all. They tried to resist, but for the first time, I didn't beg to be taken seriously. I demanded it, because the day Sod abandoned me at the altar, he thought he was ending my story. He didn't realize he was only removing the wrong chapter.